Since the earliest days of civilization, every human at some point or another has felt imposter syndrome. That's that naggy little voice at the back of your head that says, I'm not good enough. If you have never experienced imposter syndrome, either you are a complete narcissistic sociopath or you have never pushed yourself hard enough. In this next interview, I was really privileged to sit down with Jenni Walke to talk about how she supports her coaching clients who are also coaches and helps them overcome their own imposter syndrome. However, I thought, man, what she's saying is relevant and pertinent to just about every business owner on the planet, which is why I decided to include this interview among my own podcasts. Enjoy. If you're a coach, it's your job to be the authority. You need to be the boss. You need to be the leader. And that's because it's your job to change the lives of other people. However, that can be really challenging and it can bring up all sorts of emotions within you as a human, because we are all humans and all humans suffer from an emotion called imposter syndrome. So today we're going to be talking about how to address imposter syndrome, indeed how to beat imposter syndrome and finally attract clients who are the best possible fit for you in 5 simple steps. And to help us out today, sitting with me right here, right now, is Jenni Walke. She's the founder of Elephant in the Room Consulting. She's a master at helping coaches find clarity. And last night, am I correct? Last night you came that close to winning a business award for Indigenous Australian business owners. Is that correct?
That is correct, James. Yeah, we were the finalist for the Emerging Exporter of the Year Awards for the Supply Nation Diversity Awards this year.
That is really, really exciting. You're in Sydney at this moment. I'm in Melbourne at this moment. So I'm going to give you a virtual round of applause across the screen for becoming a finalist. That's really awesome. Now, I'm sure that you as a business owner have also experienced imposter syndrome from time to time. Are there any examples recently where you may have encountered this emotion?
Oh, I think we do it every day, and most definitely I have experienced it. In fact, even this conversation we're having today, I was supposed to have a workshop, a webinar. We have our webinar tonight, which is a monthly webinar, and I had to reschedule it twice to fit in the awards and to fit in the Connect event that happened the day before. And I was actually having moments of panic of saying, will my clients still be there? Am I good enough to be doing this? I'm going to have people still turn up on Thursday when we reschedule it, because having those constant changes brings up that doubt and that idea of like, am I good enough? Should I be able to schedule this? And things go wrong, and recognizing it, that it's going to go wrong, stuff's going to happen, and just be a human about it and respond in a really, in a good way is kind of what I did on Monday when I was realizing that things had to change.
And so you had to rearrange this event, reschedule it, because the universe got in the way. That's perfectly fine. It happens all the time. There's the fear that, will my clients follow me through all these changes? Will my coaching clients come with me on this journey? Or will they just get pissed off, throw their hands up in the air and go, stuff, Jenni, I'm going away?
That's pretty much what we feel, right? And that's what I felt.
How many of those people said, stuff you, Jenni, I'm going away?
At this present, none, which is awesome. I just had one guy say, can I get the recording because it's clashed with my kid's soccer game? And I was like, yes, of course you can get the recording.
But so everybody else moved.
That's exactly, everyone else moved.
Everyone else moved. And that is because humans are generally reasonable. And if you are attracting the best possible fit clients, these are people who follow you, respect you, admire you because they're looking for an outcome. That's obviously one way to start managing imposter syndrome. Now we're going to run through 5 lessons and 5 tactics or strategies that we can apply in our own lives and our own businesses. What's the first one that we want to address among our 5 lessons?
I actually just alluded to it then. It's about being aware. It's recognizing when it happens. So we know it shows up, but recognizing and acknowledging it when you feel it, when you feel that resistance come up and you go, oh gosh, something's happening and I'm playing out something in my head. So that first piece that is actually just to be aware that it exists and when it happens in your life.
And you're not alone, because everybody feels this. So if we're aware, easier said than done, I might say, we need to be aware. How is it showing up? What is an action that we can take to, I guess, just not just be aware, but start to address it?
Yeah. And as you said, it's how it shows up in your life can be different to everybody, and imposter syndrome does look different for everybody. So one thing we like to do is we start a procrastination tracking journal. So literally when you feel that resistance come up, just pull out your journal and just make a note of what it looks like and how it's shown up today. And then you actually start being aware of it. So you actually start to check it, and you don't let it actually derail what you're doing.
That's awesome. I love that, because we don't, in our brains, we don't go, oh, I'm suffering from imposter syndrome right now. But we might see a symptom of that and go, oh yeah, I'm procrastinating. I'm holding off doing this. Something deep down inside is causing problems and I'm holding back. Yeah. So if we're keeping a journal, so easy, a journal and just making note of when we're procrastinating, that's fantastic.
It's that recognition, and our brain, when we start to write stuff down, when we actually write it down, it has a different kind of neural connection to our brain. And as soon as you write it down, there's kind of you start to recognize it more, you start to see it more. It's like when you want to buy a red car and all of a sudden all you see is red cars, right? It's that connection. So now you see it, you acknowledge it, and every time you can stop it. And then over time, you'll actually do it less and less.
Your behaviors will change. So number one, be aware. Number two.
So number two is going to sound a little bit strange, but less is so much more. And I think what happens is imposter syndrome often shows up in that we want to fill the gaps with everything. So we need to focus on what's important rather than try to fill those gaps in our days. So instead of having to be busy all the time, having to do all the things so that we feel worthy and we feel, like we should be here, we actually need to do less. We actually need to take time and focus on what's actually important to you, your business, your family, and reaching your goals.
So now you have something called a do first matrix. And as your action for this step, guys and gals, is to find the link and download the do first matrix. But what is the do first matrix? What does that look like?
So the do first matrix is really a simple strategy that I do every day. I've done it every day for the last 5 years. And it's essentially you organize your day and your diary around what's important. So the first one is the things that you need to do straight away. So you write a list of your actions for the day, what's important, what needs to be done today, you put in the do first in the first quadrant. The second one is about scheduling. So it's actually identifying what you need to do, but it may not be something that has to happen today. It's the things that, it might be doing your social media that's important. You need to schedule it in your diary. So we actually put that in the scheduling section of the matrix. The third one is delegate. And it links back to that kind of idea of doing less in your day. Find the things that you don't need to do, you're not responsible for, and actually start to delegate those things. And we identify those and it starts to reduce them from our day. And the last one, my favorite one, is the discard or don't do. So the fourth area and the fourth pile is looking at that list of things that you do that is just noise in your day. Looking at the activities that you fill the gaps with, because we want to try and feel important, we start to actually discard them or get rid of them and find other people to do them or just remove them from your life. Mine has been, I don't do the 30-minute scroll on Facebook. I schedule time when I need to do that on my social media, because I know I'll go down the rabbit hole and completely pull myself away from my tasks. So by actually using the matrix, it helps you organize your day, focus your time, and you actually end up doing much less, but having greater impact.
So to bring it back to the guts of the lesson, less is more. It's easier said than done. You can say focus on what's important, easier said than done. But if you're aware of what you're doing and you can delegate or discard, suddenly you can focus on the things that are more important to you. What's our third lesson?
So the third one is about leverage what you have. It's actually about focusing on your strengths, because actually when you focus on your strengths, you actually accelerate your progress. So rather than focusing on the things that you don't have and your gaps, we focus on what we are bringing to the table and how we're showing up and who we are. And so this allows us to kind of recognize our superpower, recognize, how we, our strengths and focuses on that.
And this is an extension of the less is more piece. If we're focusing all the different things because we have to feel like we're staying busy, we might be focusing on things that are not going to propel us forward. But if we focus on the things that we're really strong at, we get so much more energy from that. I don't know what it is, but when we were at school, we were told that we had to, get high marks in all these different subjects. And then for the rest of your life, you suddenly realize that I don't have to be a jack of all trades. If I just focus on the things that I'm really good at and that I really love, I'm going to become a master in my own space.
Exactly. And it is that kind of old adage, jack of all trades, master of none. We want to change that to be master of one. You want to be master of something that you're really good at. It allows you to show up better for your clients. It allows you to actually really focus, but it does accelerate your progress, as we said. It actually allows you to take leaps and bounds because you become, that 10,000 hour model about spending so much time being the ideal person in that space means that you can stand and become the ultimate authority, and you can share that knowledge with your clients, which then actually kind of continues to build your knowledge as well.
And I can see how it's going to build my confidence. So the imposter syndrome stuff is going to start to rear its ugly head far less often. But as an inverse, if I find myself going down a path where I'm focusing on things that I'm not enormously confident about, that's a red flag. So what would be an action that we can take to leverage what we already have?
It's going to sound a bit strange, but actually just write down. So we call it a super strength audit. So write a list of the things that you're really good at and focus that. We don't want a long list. We want a short list of maybe 3 or 5 things that you're really strong at and really good at. And that allows you to focus your activities and focus your efforts and build your skills in those particular areas only.
That's so cool. It's so easy. Just write down 3 to 5 things. So just straight off the top of my mind, I would go, okay, I'm a really good copywriter. I'm pretty good at interviewing people, some days, most days. So I would write down a bunch of those different skills. If I can focus on those skills, they become my super strengths. And they are the areas that are going to set me up for success over the longer term. Definitely. And put imposter syndrome in the corner. Where are we up to? Number 4. What's our 4th lesson?
So the number 4 is actually about taking time to look back, not just forward. So we often kind of look at those things that's similar to that around super strength audit. We're always looking at our gaps and always looking at the things that we haven't yet done. We forget to actually acknowledge and be grateful for what we have right now and the achievements that we've made. So if we stop, and I do this every week, take some time to look every week and look at what we've achieved, or what the successes that we've had and how far we've come. Again, it actually helps build your confidence. You start to recognize that you are becoming the authority in your area. You are actually starting to build your niche and build your following and build your connections with your clients. And it actually allows you to start, again, building that strength muscle that actually reduces the imposter syndrome showing.
There's an analogy or a metaphor. I've never really quite known the difference between the two, but the idea is that we spend so much time swimming to the horizon, and we can see the horizon, and we keep swimming towards the horizon, and it just keeps going on and on and on. Every now and then we need to stop and look back and see how far we are from the shore.
Exactly.
Where we started.
And we do forget that. Like we forget to, we go now like, I'm not a great runner. And I go, well, I must be terrible because I'm not a great runner. But if I've only started running today and I haven't run before, and I look back and say, well, once I didn't know how to walk and I didn't know how to crawl. So then I had to learn those things. And I know they're similar. They're only very minor things. But when we recognize that we spend time and we actually work on the milestones that we've achieved, we go, okay, I'm actually a better runner today than I was yesterday. And then tomorrow I'll be a better runner than I am today. So if we look back and keep looking at those gains that we've made, it propels us forward. It actually gives us and actually allows us to focus on, okay, we're doing really well, we're successful, we're making an impact, and that actually allows you and enables you to want to do that more.
I know that you offer something called a personal evolution assessment, and you do that with your clients.
Yes.
What I will say is that if there's a link somewhere around here to get on the phone or get on a Zoom call with Jenni, do that. As a bare minimum, download that Do First matrix, because then you might pre-qualify for one of her personal evolution assessments. But as an action that somebody can take right now, what's something that people can do so that they can make sure that they are looking back every now and then?
Just set aside 30 minutes a week. pop it in your diary, 30 minutes a week. We've talked about that, the Do First matrix. It's one of those core things that you do every week. Schedule 30 minutes a week to actually have a moment to look at your successes, look at how much you've gained, look at your knowledge, have a moment of gratitude for that, and do that with your team. It's a really great way to also acknowledge the team that you work with and get them to recognize how far they're coming on the journey with you. And it really builds great momentum and motivation in the way that you want to work.
I can see also how you can join those two pieces together. So if you're setting aside time, putting some time in your work calendar, you could spend 15, 20 minutes having a look at just acknowledging the progress that you've made.
Yeah.
And then you switch to doing first matrix, which is what you need to do next. One really great thing about that just popped into my head is that if you've just acknowledged the progress that you've made and then you're planning what you need to do next, you're less likely to throw out the good stuff. And I've seen people do this. They're focusing on what they need to do next, what's broken, what they need to fix. And if they're not acknowledging the things that are working, they move away. And then suddenly all that good stuff suddenly gets lost because they're so busy focusing on the next thing.
It's one of the ways that imposter syndrome shows up is the need for shiny things. And that's a really great example of that happening. So when you're constantly looking for the new thing or something shiny to take your attention or to attract you, it actually does derail your focus. And it's a form of imposter syndrome. It's procrastination because we really want to focus on something new and different and exciting instead of, as you said, recognizing what we're doing really well and staying on that path and continuing to do that. So we build our strength in that, we grow better, we have better impact with our clients.
So there is a method to the madness here. Jenni just said a moment ago, less is more. And this is an example of a method that you can use to rein that in. All right, we're up to number 5. What's 5?
Number 5 is actually about acknowledging your differences. So it's about what do you understand and what do you bring to the table? Who are you essentially as a person? So what makes you a unicorn? What makes you different? What they stand out, and by focusing on the things that you're different. Now, when we did the super strength audit, you probably said, as you did, I'm a great copywriter. But we also want to say, what are the things that really allow us to stand out and be different? And for you, it's that magnetic personality. You're pulling people in when you're talking to people. That's something that's allows James to stand out. So having a think about what you do as an individual and those things that allow you to shine is a really important part of letting go of imposter syndrome.
So it's an extension from your skill set to what really makes you different as a human being.
Yeah, it's really the personal traits. It's those things about you, that how you show up. So it might be, I say to people that I'm a highly functioning introvert because I actually need a lot of time to recover after I have great conversations with clients, but I'm able to really share and engage. And I think I do really well at that. And that's something that I think makes me a bit different. My friends used to say I can talk with a mouthful of marbles under a layer of wet cement. That's something that not everyone can do. And I love that. It gives me an opportunity to do that with clients. Now, I stand in that. That's kind of like one of my unicorn things. And I see things through doing that. I acknowledge that. It allows me to be strong about that. It goes back to the strengths. It allows me to focus my effort to make sure I have opportunities to do that every day when I talk to clients.
We just actually gave 2 examples of slightly extroverted personalities, but even if you're not an extroverted personality, you will have core strengths. You might have a crazy detailed mind. You might be able to read between the lines. I've got a friend that can almost read minds. It's crazy. We're sitting on a Zoom call, and at the end of it, a bunch of us, he'll say, oh, so-and-so was worried about that, and so-and-so was excited about that. And I'm like, I didn't see any of that. When did that happen? We've all got our different strengths.
Exactly. And they're the things that they're attracting people to us, right? Even as you said, I've got a colleague of mine who runs a program entirely for, focused on introverted people who don't really want to be loud and don't want to kind of stand out very much. But even in that program, we look at what are the things that bring them and make them special and unique. And it might be their introvertedness. It might be the fact that they can connect quietly and they can make people feel comfortable. That in itself is an incredible strength. And you don't need to be extroverted to be able to do that. It might be an introverted type. So having a look at those really cool things that, when you were younger, probably someone said, I like that about you. Remember what they are. They're the things that, that are your unicorn traits now.
Yeah, you got me thinking there. You got me thinking that if we're writing our super strength audit, and we've got 5 tactics, and then we've got 5 differences, it is probably worthwhile going out to your own personal network and saying, what does make me different? And hearing what the other people have to say, because it might shock you the strengths that you never knew that you had. So we've run through 5 here. Are you ready? Be aware. How is your imposter syndrome showing up? If you want to take action, maybe start a procrastination tracking journal. Number 2, less is more. Focus on what's important. Download the Do First matrix. Number 3, leverage what you have. Focus on your strengths rather than just trying to fill the gaps. And a good action step is to conduct a mini super strength audit. Number 4, don't forget to take time out to just look back. Either book a time with Jenni if you can, or set aside the time in your own journal, in your own work calendar, just to conduct your own little personal evolution assessment. Number 5, acknowledge your differences. Add to your own little list, maybe ask others to give you some feedback and some advice. Any final words of advice and wisdom for people out there that are looking for ways to boost their self-esteem a little bit and get over this? I was going to say curse, but it is just part of human nature.
It is.
To manage, let's say that, manage imposter syndrome.
Well, if you go through those 5 things and 5 steps and you get to that end piece about what those differences are, the last thing I would suggest to do, and you can do this and then look at it every day, is write an affirmation around all those things. So what are my strengths? What makes me different? Write yourself an affirmation that reminds you every day that those differences and those strengths and who you are, and focusing on those things first and letting go of the other items, being aware when resistance comes up, is not only part of human nature, as you said, but having that affirmation and saying it every day just reminds yourself that you are worthy, and helps reduce the fear and self-doubt that plays on our mind all the time.
And I love Post-it notes. And as I say it, I can't find any Post-it notes, but if you can come up with an affirmation, as Jenni suggested, my name is this, these are my abilities, these are my strengths, this is what makes me a unicorn. Stick that Post-it note on your bathroom mirror, stick that Post-it note on the corner of your laptop. And next time you find yourself encountering an obstacle, a mental obstacle, you can look at that and thank Jenni Walke for planting that amazing idea in your mind. Thank you so much, Jenni. This has been amazing.
No, my pleasure. I had so much fun having a chat about this. This is what we do, right? We have to find ways to get over the resistance and the things that are pulling us away, that from not only our business and what makes us happy, but also how we can serve clients better. And doing these things will really help people, overcome their imposter syndrome, show up better for their clients, and attract the right people to their business. So download the Do First matrix. If you're just lucky enough, you might get a personal evolution assessment. And do and follow the 5 steps. Yeah. Excellent. Woo.